What's up? All right. So, my last podcast, talking about influence and things like that, um, I had something on my mind for quite a while, and I think I want to get into this one next. And it sort of segues, and not all of them are going to segue because I told you before, like I'll just take, just random turns and just off I go that way. But I want to play you something real quick. If you've not seen the movie A Bug's Life, I still think it is a very apropos allegory for capitalism. This is towards the end. This is after Flick already stood up to Hopper, and this is him thinking about what's going on. I don't want to play the full clip, but I'm going to play just the little thing that I think is extremely important. So just listen real quick. Um, it's that right there. That's 100% what that kind of shows you, what I want to try to describe and what I want to try to go through today. Um, it's really just a matter of finding ways to start giving big companies the middle finger. And that's a perfect allegory for it, which is also an allegory for what I'm talking about anyway. Um, I had this thought in my head for the longest time, and I always thought it was awesome. I would love to see what happens if this ever happened. And what I want to see happen is, damn it, oh, excuse me. There are two big televised events in the world. Two. Um, there's the World Cup, and there's the Super Bowl. Um, damn it, you're late. Excuse me. Um, I remember back in the 90s hearing about how there were news reports for now commercial spots for the Super Bowl are going to be $1 million. And I was like, what? I can't believe. Oh man. Average Super Bowl commercial cost. Um, the average cost of a 30-second commercial during the show has risen more than 5 million. Even when adjusted for inflation in 2023, the cost for 30-second spot was $7 million. 7. So that has gone up exponentially as well. And I bring this up because what I think would be amazing is you're never going to not have the Super Bowl sell out as far as the actual stadium itself. It's not going to happen. There's always going to be people to go as long as you can afford to go. And you're always going to have companies that are dumping in money to just go, oh, we need to get this commercial out there. It's to try and stir up marketing and stir up advertising and things like that. And I just look at it and go, what if no one turned on their TV? Think about that for just a moment. You have Super Bowl Sunday, which is at this point, I honestly don't know why the NFL has not lobbied Congress to make the day after the Super Bowl a national holiday so everybody else can kind of just really overindulge in the Super Bowl. Um, Obviously, we know it's not going to happen because you're going to have all these companies that go, no, you got to get to work. You got to make us money. So you have this scenario where companies are spending $5 to $7 million for this commercial and nobody watches it. I would love to see the panic at every single corporation that spent that kind of money for nothing. For nothing. I would love to see the chaos in the news reports the next day of no one can understand the phenomena of why news reports or the Super Bowl was not watched by anyone on television. So what I tend to do whenever a game is on, and I'm casually interested, um, I'll go on to like MLB.com or NHL.com and I'll watch Game Day. And it's just here's a picture of the ice, here's a picture of the batter, it's telling you where the ball's coming in, yeah, and all that other kind of stuff. And I just kind of follow along that way. I think it would be incredible to have stuff like that happen to where you're still watching it, but just not turn the TV on. Because they started making the commercials to gear more towards the women. And I noticed this back in the 90s when I was watching. I don't remember the last Super Bowl that I watched, but I know I really haven't given a shit about football in quite some time. Even the last year the Rams were here, I was like, okay. But I mentioned it's like, I really don't care. And it was because I saw someone tell me that the actual game play that you watch during a 3-hour presentation of football is about 12 minutes. And again, if you think about it for a moment, it's 100% true. Because you may have the play clock winding down, just like the shot clock, just like the pitch clock, but the game isn't actually being played at that moment. Because you got the pitcher, they're doing their thing. No one in the outfield's doing a damn thing. If there's a runner on base, there's the batter and the catcher and the umpires. That's it. Everyone else is just waiting. So there's nothing happening. So the actual time of play would be from the time the ball is pitched until where the ball stops moving or gets back to the pitch again. Then that play is over. Same thing with football. You have a running play, the clock still winds down, so you have actual game time that is not being utilized for actual play. Even in soccer / football, you have stoppage time. So they ran the clock for so long during some type of thing, and they still kept that time frame, but then you go into stoppage time. Because you got to make up for that time that you didn't play. Imagine if football like that. You're literally watching a 3-hour version of football. Probably take you about 9 hours to get through. Obviously you do a touchdown, the clock stops. Do an incomplete pass, the clock stops. Timeouts, the clock stops. Run it out of bounds, clock stops. But it's just that play. So it's the moment the ball is hiked until the play is dead. Stop. Sometimes 5 seconds, sometimes 10 seconds. Stop. So it's 12 minutes, roughly. And I just went, that's ridiculous. Well, then now you have the hour-long pregame show, and then you have the hour-long postgame show. So you have 5 hours of your day that you're dedicating to watching a game of 12 minutes. That just seems insane to me. But if they're trying to get you captive for that entire time, because to go back to my point about they make the commercials for women, the guys are usually there for the game. Sometimes girls are. I'm not saying that they're not. There are some, but the guys watch it for the game. They want to see who wins, maybe see if they place their bets correctly, got the over-under and all that other kind of shit done. Had the point spread. But women don't care during the game, so they'll go do something else, and then they'll hear the music cue up, so that cues them to come back into the room to watch the commercials while the guys go refill their beers, refill their plates, or talk about the last plays and how this was bullshit. And so it's constant entertainment for each individual party involved. And again, that's a generalization, Don't attack me for saying that. Maybe we don't like football. That's not what I'm saying. But that's what it's geared towards. But you have all of that and nobody watches it. Now, I understand if you have a team involved, you have a dog in the race or whatever, you're going to watch it. But I just want you to think about what would happen if you didn't. If you didn't turn it on at all, you did not watch it. The chaos that will spiral out of control from that, companies are going to go, oh shit, what are we going to do to get them interested in our product again? They didn't even watch the Super Bowl to figure out what the hell we're going to do or how we're. Coke's always going to be Coke. Pepsi's always going to be Pepsi. Pizza's always going to be pizza. Fries are always going to be fries. Taco Bell's always going to be Taco Bell. Doritos always going to be Doritos. So why do you care? Why do you care? You're not doing anything different. When was the last time you walked into a grocery store, hell, even a gas station, and looked at all those little itty bags of Doritos and shit? There's all types of flavors. And I don't watch TV, and it could be out there, but I highly doubt it. Anyone ever seen a commercial for Flamin' Hot Funyuns? Nope. So who cares? The amount of power that the people have that they misuse every single day is mind-boggling to me. And I'll make another point here in a second, but you have all of this power in mass, and we just choose not to do it. There's going to be people out there that'll go, well, that's a pretty good idea, but I'm not going to disrupt my life. I can't disrupt my life. Someone else can go ahead and do it, and then once it starts to take effect, then I'll jump aboard. But I'm not going to be a part of that initial wave. Well, why not? Imagine, okay, Super Bowl's too big a deal. It's not going to happen. Okay, I got backup plans. 2 days. Just 2 days. Don't go to Starbucks. Don't go to Dunkin' Donuts. Don't go to your local spots that you normally go to get coffee. Or go to your local spots to get coffee, but don't go to the chains. Don't go to Starbucks. Think Starbucks ain't going to start freaking out? Their numbers go ridiculously into the red for a day, and then another day. You think they're not going to have some kind of sale to get you back in? Of course they are. But because you've made it such a part of your life, you've made it such a part of your routine, something that is ingrained in you, you cannot fathom starting your day without your Starbucks macchiato laco waka 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 saka, whatever the fuck it is. You can't imagine starting your day without it. You have to have it. Well, you made your life revolve around that. It did not make itself known to you until you went out and did it. But if you think like $8 for coffee is ridiculous, stop going. You know, everyone complains about gas prices, but we have to pay those. We have to. Trucks don't get things delivered because you don't have gas in the trucks. It has to get done. But coffee, I know I'm going to get backlash for saying this, and that's fine. But coffee is a luxury. It is not a necessity. And do you know why coffee is a luxury? Because of caffeine. Caffeine is a drug. I don't remember. I want to say it's a class 4. Drug class. Yeah, but which one is it in? I thought it was a class 4. Damn it. If I thought I was going to talk about this, I'd have looked it up a little bit earlier. But I want to say it's a class 4. So it's a drug. It's the most widely used drug in the world. It's the only drug that you're okay giving to your children. It's the only drug that you regulate to try and keep it in your system at all times. It's a drug. I'm sure you've heard of caffeine shakes. Oh, I just got to get some caffeine in me. That's your body going through withdrawals for it. It's a drug. So you going to Starbucks every day does kind of put you in the category of being a junkie. And I also remember people telling me, well, coffee's an acquired taste, which I always thought just that phrase, it's an acquired taste. So it's shit. No, it's shit. But you're going to keep drinking it until you're used to drinking shit. Okay. Kind of weird, right? You have a drink that is 100% legal, 100% available at 100% of the places that sell drinks. And it's a drug. It's right along the same lines, but that's where I think I don't remember. I'm not going to say that because I don't think that that's correct. But caffeine is a drug. I mean, Starbucks is your drug dealer. And you are a drug addict. So maybe next time when you see someone who's an alcoholic, you kind of keep your mouth shut. So they're an addict too. Again, getting off topic. My point is you have power. You just choose not to use it. You could have Starbucks coffee be back down to $3 like that. You could. You just stop going. You only do it for 2 days. Your junky ass can't deal with it without 2 days. I myself have had, I don't even think, a cup of coffee my entire life. It's disgusting. It's gross. And the other thing that I also find funny is in order to make it acceptable for you to enjoy this treat necessity that you have to fill it up with caramel and all other types of sugar that has different names and is processed differently, but it's all just sugar into this just so that you can stomach drinking it because you know it tastes like shit on its own. So you're making your own drug cocktail to appease yourself for the day. I mean, they even have merchandise like, don't talk to me till I've had my coffee in the morning. You see this cat that's just all completely frazzed out and looks like it's been half electrocuted in the morning. And you go, yeah, I need my coffee this morning. Don't talk to me till I get my coffee. Or I'm an asshole till I get my coffee. Or I'm a bitch till I get my coffee. Or I'm a jackass till I get my coffee. We mainstream it that it's okay to be addicted to drugs. Convince me I'm wrong. We mainstream it. It's on TV. It's in TV shows. I haven't had my coffee yet. Oh, that's good shit. Oh, that's good shit. We mainstream it. We make it okay. It's okay to be addicted. It's okay. But how does that make you a better person? It doesn't. It makes you more obedient. there goes our way of life because we can't be drug peddlers anymore. I remember when I was a kid, there was Joe Cool, the camel who smoked cigarettes. And there was the Marlboro Man, who always had on his hat and wrangling cattle and taming wild horses and shit. They made the marketing companies for tobacco companies to stop marketing tobacco products because kids get a hold of it. But why would you get rid of that? And you've never heard of someone, oh, they were smoking a cigarette and crashed in a car because they had 4 cigarettes before they got into the car. You know, alcohol companies eventually had to put in, please drink responsibly. Knowing that your inhibitions go out the door whenever you've had a little too much to drink, and you'll just go. I've heard stories from friends of mine saying that they've drove 45 minutes and don't recall it at all. The last thing they remember was being in the bar and then waking up in their bed and their car's in the driveway. Never heard of anyone smoke a cigarette and pass out somewhere and then wake up the next day unless you're in Diddy or Cosby's house. But it's perfectly okay to always see alcohol commercials. Now, don't get me wrong. Real Men of Genius is one of the best things ever. But beyond that, I don't understand how our priorities are so whacked out like that. Oh, well, it's because cigarettes contain things that cause cancer. You ever seen a pack of cigarettes from Canada or outside the U.S.? It's a whole big thing on there that shows like bad lungs and shit. They're trying to get you to stop. And I've noticed that more and more young people become less and less involved in smoking cigarettes. But again, because it was changed in mass, future generations don't have to deal with it. Future generations don't have that as a stigmatism. Even Walt Disney died of lung cancer, and anytime a picture was taken with him and they were going to post it somewhere, he'd have them airbrushed out the cigarette in his hand, but he's always doing something like this, where he's like pointing somewhere, or he's waving and these 2 fingers are together, or his hand's just sitting there and he's got these things together. He didn't want kids to see the cigarettes. He knew it back before they even got rid of that stuff that way. I mean, you can really make a difference if you just change your mindset. And I know it's been sort of long-winded for the last few minutes, but I'm trying to give you more examples, and that's what a lot of this I'm trying to do, is to stimulate thinking. Excuse me, Jesus. I'm not saying you're a bad person if you smoke. I'm not saying you're a bad person if you drink. I'm not saying you're a righteous person that you don't smoke, or a righteous person that you don't drink. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you have the power of choice. And your choice can make a difference. You know, they've been saying stuff for the last few years about how you have fuck, I lost my train of thought. No, shit. Power of choice. I'll get it back here in a minute. Looked at my notes for something else, and let me put the Bugs Life back on there, that way I don't have any words distracting me. But when you have a certain section of people that have something that they become dependent upon, having something to think about will better change our outcome when it comes to everything else. Just like you two, you as well. You do the same. I wish the same for you. Enjoy your day. Things like that. Because I never wanted to get to a point where I'm telling people what to do. I'm never going to tell you, don't smoke. I'll ask you not to smoke around me, or not in my car, or even in wherever I'm living at the time. I'll ask you not to do that. But if you smoke, I don't care. I'm not going to treat you like a lesser person for it. I'm going to say that you're more stinky, but you're 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 not worse than me and I'm not better than you. But if we can have ourselves focus in an area where we can have better information, we can have a better opportunity to sort of, and I know how this is going to sound and I'm going to say it anyway, but you say fuck the big corporations, because I truly believe at this point, when you are worth close to or over $1 billion, if you still hang on to all that money and you're not using it to help enrich other people around you, you are a villain, because your only, I guess, thing left to achieve is to climb up the Forbes list. I don't see how you can really try to achieve anything else. A comedian I really enjoy by the name of Chris Porter has a bit on one of his stand-ups. It's called Shark Fucking Rich. And in that, he says that he hangs around billionaires and they're bored. And I'm paraphrasing, but he does talk about they're bored. And he goes, if you've been everywhere and you've seen everything and you've done everything, what else is there? And I found that to be truly profound, because I never really, it never really sunk in to go, imagine, people always say, if money wasn't an object, what would you do? Well, that's what you need to work towards. What? Work towards money not being an object? Or wasn't, what? You can't work towards that. But those that are worth billions, if you've always wanted to go here, you've already gone. If you've always wanted to do this, you've done it. If you've always wanted to go over here and see this, you've seen it. And then what? What next? If you've already done it, then what are you doing? What's left? And that goes back to having a divide to where the way of life is all the way over here. You have the richest of the rich. And all the way over here, you have the poorest of the poor. This side wants nothing more than to keep that gap as wide as possible. The moment that gap decreases, they'll lose their fucking minds. Especially if it's this end coming up versus this end coming down. Because if all of a sudden you start taking another step towards them, they're going to think, oh, well, you're like us. But you're nothing like us. Tom Segura even says the same thing about traveling in first class, to where if he gets bumped up, he goes, this sense of entitlement just washes all over. He's like, ugh. That's the mentality from that side, is I am better than you. I am richer than you. I'm worth more than you. My life is more valuable than yours. You mean nothing. And the closer you think you can get to me, the farther away from you I want to be. So either it's climbing up that list or it's keeping that gap as wide as possible. Because if you can't take it with you, what are you going to do with it? What's next? How do you make the world better? Like, what, 7-8 years ago, everyone was all goo-goo and gagaing over Elon Musk about trying to get to Mars because there's something left. Again, Chris Porter says the same thing. Like, that's why they're trying to go on to Mars, go into space, because Earth, done it. Done everything. I can't. Ocean Gate. They're like, let's go. We'll take tours down to the Titanic and show it to you. Cut a lot of corners. A lot of people died. And we make fun of them for it. And in some regards, I think it's disgusting. But in other regards, I'm going, there's more billionaires trying not to spend money that they feel that they don't need to do. And it cost them their lives. Because again, they thought what they were doing was more important. And so we're going to save money. And now litigations. So if you're on this end and you have all this money and you have this end and you have none of the money, but all of the things that you want to try to see if you could do, like some people are like, I really want to go kiss my lover underneath the Eiffel Tower during New Year's Eve, and I think that would be the most romantic thing ever, because then whenever we touch hands, she will be pregnant. How are you going to do that? How are you going to achieve that? How are you going to have that experience? You can't, because this end holds all the money. And as long as you keep doing the things that they tell you to do, you're going to keep giving them that money. You know, Reaganomics was trying to sit there and say, oh, well, it's trickle down, which I think is the most apropos word for it, because a trickle doesn't really do much of anything. You know, if you got someone who is just completely parched, just completely dehydrated, and you just go, here, let's just do a couple of drops. There you go. Now you're going to be okay. No, you need a couple gulps. You need about 10,000 of them drops just to sit there and get back a sense of normality. But because they control the drops, we look at and idolize. Why don't we criminalize? Because if anything else, you could just say that it's an extravagant episode of Hoarders. You got all this shit that you're just holding on to. Now, I'm not saying that you can't earn it, you can't deserve it, because I will say that if you make a company and you start at the bottom and you work your way up there and you're worth $300 million and your annual salary is, say, $200 million, well, how many people work for you to get that or even maintain that? And how do you compensate them to make them happy in order to maintain I mean, I know I'm hammering this point home, but I really want to try and open a couple of eyes. And if just two people go, oh, shit, video well done. This long-ass rant, well done. Because their way of life should not dictate how ours is, but ours dictates theirs. We're too easy to be manipulated. We're too malleable. We're too controlled. There's a way to take some of that power back. Thank you, Rage Against the Machine. But it takes something on your end. Is that end that you want to get to worth the sacrifice of saying goodbye to Starbucks? No? Well, then that side doesn't mean anything to you. I talked with a dear friend of mine recently, and she had told me that she had quit smoking, and she bought a vape, and she hasn't even recharged it once. And she just, a light clicked in her head, and she just went, and I'm done. I mean, that's exactly what happened to me. Granted, I'm a lot heavier because of that. But you have to make a choice. You have to quit in here first. As long as in here you still enjoy it, you'll always say you want to quit because you want people to think that you're struggling or that you have the desire to do so. But it's so hard right now. I'm going to have this and I'm going to have that, or after breakfast I have to, or as soon as I wake up I have to, and after sex I have to, and with a drink I have to, and outside for a barbecue I have to. You plan your life around something about that big. So if that is so damn important that it has that kind of hold on you, by all means go for it. But if you truly want to quit, then start making that choice in here. I think it was Igor or Ivan or something like that. In Triple X, where he goes, I like smoke better Then, yeah, I even smoke in my sleep, and I'll smoke when I'm dead, too. And then had a heat-seeking rocket launcher that locked onto a cigarette. Bruh, please. But the point is that he knew he wanted to still smoke. He enjoyed it. That was his choice. And if you choose to, by all means, do it. And that's what you want to do, then do it. But if you're gonna say, if you say you want to quit, you're not doing anything about it, then just stop saying you want to quit, because you don't. When I quit, I remember it was in August, quite a few years ago. I had my last cigarette, and I never smoked in any of the cars that I had except one. I never smoked in any place that I lived ever, and I always had to go outside. And I never smoked before lunch. It was just, I was like, oh, I don't want that to be the first thing. Ugh. So when I quit, I had one last cigarette the night before. I went, damn it, I got one left. All right, I'll just have to go in the morning. And I remember I was packing up my stuff to go put it in a storage shed, and that whole day went by. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to make a pit stop yet. And the whole day went by, and I didn't have one. I went, well, I guess I'll pick up another one tomorrow. And that whole day went by, and I never went. And I went, does this mean I'm done? I don't have to go do this anymore? Okay, well, I guess maybe I'm done. Okay, I guess maybe I'm done. The hardest thing after that was when I go to the gas station, put my drink on the counter, maybe a hot dog, and then anything else. Oh, yeah, and a pack of Camels. That, oh, yeah, and a pack of Camels was the hardest thing to not say, because it had been such a routine to, have a nice day. You too. That was my automatic response. Oh, yeah, and a pack of Camels. Oh, yeah, and a pack of Camels. Because the only time I ever went inside a gas station was to get a pack of cigarettes plus a couple other things. So anything else? Oh, yeah, and a pack of Camels. That was the hardest part for me. After that, I had one drag and went, ugh, no, I'm done. But I did miss taking a break and going outside. Even whenever it was freezing ass cold, it's just taking a break and going outside. That was more what I enjoyed than the actual cigarette itself. The cigarette itself just gave me the excuse to go outside, to have something to do instead of just. All right. Guess that's been long enough. I'll go back inside, because that was my timer. So if you want to actually make a change, and to have change, and to be a change, have to change here first. Change a little something. So back to the Starbucks thing. If you go just 2 days and you don't go, tell yourself, I'm just trying this. I can go on day 3, but I'm just trying this. And imagine if everybody did that. Imagine if you went a week. You'll start noticing prices drop. Coffee's a luxury. Sorry to be the one to tell you, but it is. Caffeine's a drug. Caffeine's in coffee. Just saying. So this one's a lot shorter compared to the other one. But yeah, throw some comments. I was really happy to see on my Marvel movie rankings that people were having some discourse in there. Even if almost half are going, fuck this thing. I'm like, that's fine. You're allowed your opinion. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. But I'm just curious about your insight as to why you made the statements that you made. I always welcome it. Again, civil discourse. Let's just talk, see what's going on, see how we do it, and off we go. Yeah. Hope you all have a great one. Enjoy your day. Stay safe, and see you soon.